And here we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. That's right, it's time for Coffee Talk, where we will have a discussion about what is going on in the world here today and read through some news articles, some various news articles, and have a discussion. And I'll be very sarcastic and snarky about it because what's in the news is ridiculous. Hey, Daniel, how you doing? Daniel walking by, for those of you who can see. Probably pissed off that Dusty got to the chair before him. Dusty sitting in the background. And of course, you are joining us very likely on the live portion on YouTube, and that's at Coffee Talk Live or at Prepper University on YouTube, broadcasting simultaneously at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, as well as X, formerly known as Twitter, and that would be at Coffee Talk Chat. And then, of course, there's always Fistful of Radio, fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Friday at noon for those of you who are keeping track. And, of course, I always do try to read through as many of the comments as is reasonable. So I'll go ahead and acknowledge some of the people that are chiming in thus far in the live portion. Helter is here. Donna Beaver reminding people, thumbs up, like, and share. Much appreciated if you can. Dragon is here. D-Lo is here. Boogers is here. Velvet Pilot is here. Says he caught the replay yesterday. Glad it was up. It got a strike on both channels. It got a strike probably because I was talking about that pole dancing from yesterday, which we might revisit because that touched a lot of nerves, that story. But yeah, I get a yellow strike on Coffee Talk every day anyways, literally every single day. And every single day I put in an appeal for it. And every single day I get an exoneration, if you will, for a previous appeal. Oh, your video is actually eligible for monetization, but it's a live broadcast, so by then it's too late anyways. Not like I'm getting paid for any of this, but damn, it's the principle of the thing, right? What are you going to do? Anyways, we'll go ahead and we'll get started. And this is something that's just hitting the news. You may not have seen it yet. It may get buried. It may get buried because this is one of those things the administration doesn't want you to know about. And this is from the Daily Caller. Video appears to show migrants tucked away in hidden room under military guard at a major U.S. airport. Now, I heard about this. And there is video footage, and this is an actual journalist who did this and was chased out when they found out he was filming. A video exclusively obtained by the Daily Caller News Foundation appears to show a U.S. service member guarding a room full of illegal immigrants at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Republican State Senator Colton Moore, who is the vice chairman of the Georgia Freedom Caucus, took the video Tuesday night and told the DCNF that he learned of the hidden room full of migrants through a whistleblower at Atlanta's airport who noticed an influx of illegal migrants coming through the facility in recent months. In the video, there appears to be a uniformed soldier guarding a room full of migrants and volunteers with a group called Team Libertad, which boasts of helping migrants travel on its social media accounts. We're all here. This is a quote from the video, I believe. We're all getting them flights to where they need to be. A man who identified himself as a volunteer from Team Libertad says in the video, these are just recently documented travelers getting released from ICE. And of course, that's Immigration and Customs Enforcement, getting to where they need to be. There's people that they get dropped off here from ICE detention with no help, the man adds. Let me see. It's bouncing around. The room was absolutely packed with people from every continent on the planet, Moore told the DCNF. When I took my phone and reached it up above the guy to get a better view of the illegals in the room, that's when chaos broke out. That's when the U.S. Army officer took my phone. It was a scrimmage between him and I. in order to get the phone back. And then he proceeded to tell me to get out and just made a real big scene of it. And I believe this is the film footage down here. I'm going to try to access it. The pop-up ads are screwing me up. This is the film, and I'll go ahead and run it for you. I believe that the audio is on. If I can get it. Here we go.
You're on the second one now?
Yeah.
That's what he said.
See if I can move it ahead to where it starts. If I can try to. All right, that's the room. He's just casually holding his phone so that you're not aware. There's the soldier sitting in the chair.
I got you. Okay. All right. Appreciate you.
Is it just me, or do men wear pants that are way too damn tight these days? Look at that. It's kind of gross.
How's it going, man? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Transporting anybody anywhere?
Yeah, we're all getting them flights to where they need to be.
Okay, where do they need to be?
All over the place.
Where are they coming from?
As in, like, country of origin, stuff like that. Also all over the place.
All over the place.
Yeah.
You know when they come into the U.S.?
Why, can I ask you why you're asking these questions?
Yeah. The senator from Northwest Georgia.
Yeah.
And not a big fan of human trafficking. Just want to make sure
Yeah.
everything's above board here.
Yeah, so these are just recently documented travelers getting released from ICE, getting to where they need to be.
Okay. So you're an airport accompaniment volunteer.
Yeah.
Team Liberty.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a non-government organization?
I bet you this guy
Yeah.
lost his job before.
How'd you get the job?
I'm a volunteer. I
Just
mean,
a volunteer?
there's people that they get dropped off here from my extension with no help, so we just,
Sounds
Free
good, man.
flights anywhere you want to go.
Yeah, care if I come in? Just take a little closer look.
I mean, you can stand right there. I don't know you I don't know you very well either. So
just let me get a video if you don't.
actually, you cannot get a video.
No.
You cannot get a video.
Here
No,
we
you're
go.
not allowed.
You're not allowed. You're done.
Okay.
And that's when he was tackled by the soldier. So people knew, I mean, we kind of knew, and we've seen news stories about it, that these people have been getting free flights and they've been flying all over the country. But what people didn't know was that there could have been, or are evidently, processing centers in the airports with military personnel guarding them. It's ridiculous. Making sure they get their free flights wherever they need to be. And I'll catch up a few more comments here. All People has joined us, as well as Bob67, all the way from the UK. And Picario is here. Dragon says, wish the people protecting those illegal immigrants felt the same way about protecting the country against the invasion. Good point. Brian is here, as well as Bingo. And Donna Beaver says, looks like ladies' pants to me too. I can't stand seeing guys in pants that are super tight or too freaking short. You know, when their ankles are showing, your pants should drape. In my opinion, they don't have to be bell bottoms or something, but they should at least reach your shoes. And I can't stand seeing pants sagging either. I know this went down a bunny hole here, but every time I see somebody with sagging pants, I want to slip my belt off and crack and just slap them in the ass. Helta says, look at how extreme the reaction was once they found out he was filming. Yeah, he wasn't sure who the guy was at first. He wasn't sure what was going on, the volunteer, and he didn't know any better. He's a volunteer, right? Volunteer to commit treason against your own country. Why don't you? And then, yeah, the woman starts yelling. The guard gets up. He gets tackled. And fortunately, they're able to salvage the footage from the phone. And this is starting to circulate. This is starting to circulate now. I don't know, again, how far it will go or if this story will get buried, but it needs to be investigated, because I'm willing to bet that most major airports have something like this going on, that these guys aren't just getting their free tickets, they're being processed, and we're paying for it. I don't care if there was a volunteer there, we're still paying for it. Bingo says the way I'm seeing it is this is an invasion, and they're setting them up in all of our infrastructure: airports, police stations, schools, hospitals, hotels, other public transportation, etc. It is an invasion of sorts. You don't have to land a blow to cripple a country. Look what happened to Europe. What was that, in 2017, when they had all of those refugees pouring in? It destroyed Europe's infrastructure. All those countries, there's very likely permanent damage to the social structure and to the culture of all of those European countries that have cultures that go back centuries. Uncle, what are you doing? Behave yourself. Sorry, cat business. Cat business. And All People says moving migrants to blue sanctuary cities only results in the Democrat states getting more seats in Congress, more electoral college votes, more national bankrupting practices. Yeah, if and when they're counted. But don't worry, there are some measures being taken to throw them out, to get rid of some of them, a handful. And this is from BPR, or Business and Politics News. And it says House passes bill to deport illegal migrants that are arrested for driving drunk after 150 Democrats voted no. That's right, 150 of them said no. Illegal migrants arrested for driving under the influence of drugs or alcohol can now be deported thanks to a new bill passed in the House on Thursday. The Protect Our Communities from DUIs Act. Man, these titles just really piss me off. I hate the titles. The Protect Our Communities from DUIs Act passed despite the refusal of 150 Democrats to support it. The amendment to the Immigration and Nationality Act was supported by 271 lawmakers, which included only 59 Democrats who voted in favor of deporting any migrant arrested for drunk driving. The bill, introduced by Representative Barry Moore, and that's Alaska, would also ensure that those arrested and deported are not allowed back in the U.S. In the United States, someone dies in a crash with an impaired driver every 45 minutes. I lost two of my young newlywed constituents to an illegal immigrant driving under the influence of alcohol, Moore told Fox. Angel and Jeremy were riding on a motorcycle together when out of nowhere an illegal alien under the influence of alcohol collided in the newlyweds with his pickup. Their lives were cut dramatically short, the congressman said on the House floor. Sadly, tragedies like this are not uncommon across our country. Consider the case from Missouri, where 2 months ago an illegal alien from Honduras was sentenced for driving drunk at 100 miles an hour and killing a man. Okay, I have questions. Why do we have to have the double whammy of first there being an illegal immigrant in the first place to begin with, and then getting arrested for a DUI, driving under the influence, alcohol or drugs? So you're already here illegally. You have a car and a driver's license, because you're not getting a car without a license and insurance. You're not. The day of buying a bucket from a shade tree mechanic went out in the 70s. How does an illegal immigrant have a driver's license, insurance, and a vehicle? That he can drive drunk in the first place or drive high. But that's what it takes to get deported? I mean, yeah, great. Deport them and don't let them back in. But like I said, I've got questions. Let me catch up a couple of these comments here real quick before I really flip out. Donna says, I know that first we need to close the border, but how will we ever round up the ones in our country and send them home? It really wouldn't be that hard. And I've gone back to this a few times. Some of you might think I'm a broken record here. And China, when they rounded up suspected triad members, and this is a few years ago, you can look it up, within 2 hours, they had incarcerated 50,000 suspects with coordinated searches across various law enforcement agencies. 50,000 people in a couple of hours, more than. And I know that's China, big deal, but it can be done. Any major country, the United States, Canada, Australia, any major industrial country, Great Britain, has the manpower and the resources to do it if they really want to. If they really wanted to do it, they could round half of them up tomorrow. Hell, Pakistan did it. And they're hardly a first world country. Hardly. It can be done. Excuse me. Bingo says all they have to do is arm them, and we are fighting an offensive instead of a defensive battle. Yeah. Monkey is here. He says, hello, and my God, the ads on the news article. I know. It's overwhelming. And people have suggested using an ad blocker. It will make everything so sluggish I won't be able to get anything done. And he also elaborates. He says, Willis confirms there was romantic relationship in the draft court filing, according to CBS News. Oh, there it is. We've talked about that, Fannie Willis. That case is pretty much blown. It should be thrown out by now. Dragon says it's funny how they'll pass a bill to punish undocumented immigrants that don't behave, but they can't pass a bill to reward those that do behave. And, oh, come on now. I'm having problems. There we go. Gary Edwards is here. Glad you could make it, Gary. Thanks for joining us today. But again, they shouldn't even be here in the first place. They shouldn't even be here in the first place. We can draft a law to throw them out when they get arrested for driving under the influence. We can do that much, but we can't enforce existing laws to throw them out to begin with, because they shouldn't be here. Helter says a similar rule should apply to politicians. If they're convicted of a DUI, they're not allowed to hold public office. Yeah, and they're the ones that would have to pass that rule. And I know why you're saying that too, because that's happened several times. Hell, Ted Kennedy must have been pulled over 20 times. It happens all the time. Oh my God. And speaking of crime and an inability to do anything effective, we'll jump to the District of Columbia. Well, we're already kind of in the District of Columbia. We're already kind of there. Is this the right one? Yeah, that's the right one. Let's get that open. Fox News, DC AG infuriates residents, and that's the Attorney General, after saying the city cannot prosecute an arrest out of crime crisis, which is madness. And Raccoon is here. Glad you could make it today, Raccoon. And Picacario says they're glad Texas said no to the feds for once. Yeah, more states need to start doing that. You'll love this article. Washington, D.C. Attorney General Brian Schwalb infuriated residents after claiming the city's rampant crime crisis cannot be dealt with through law and order. No, law and order doesn't work, apparently. Angry residents met with community leaders in Washington Tuesday for a panel to discuss the rise of violent crime in the city, specifically among juveniles, when Schwalb made the controversial comment. As residents voiced their concerns and frustrations, the Democrat suggested that if district residents want to be safer in the long run, they must take preventive measures rather than arrest and prosecute violent criminals. Oh, okay. Is that how it works? Quote, We as a city and a community need to be much more focused on prevention and surrounding young people and their families with resources if we want to be safer in the long run, Schwab said in a viral clip. We cannot prosecute and arrest our way out of it. No, don't prosecute and arrest criminals. No, they need to be put into a program. That's what you need. Where are we here? I would suggest that's all people's opinions. I don't want to read that. The Office of the Attorney General is laser focused on using the law to make DC safer. This includes prosecuting juveniles and holding them accountable when they commit crimes, which we do for every serious offense when there is sufficient evidence to prove a case, Shoglo Rubenstein said. Prosecution, however, by definition takes place after a crime has occurred, and truly make the district safer, we need to truly make the district safer. We need to focus on stopping crime before it happens in the first place, he added. Prevention efforts cannot replace effective policing and prosecution, but are equally necessary in order to make DC safer now and in the long run. So his and it says Tuesday's panel, Understanding Juvenile Carjacking, a panel discussion was moderated by Councilman Charles Allen, who is facing a recall effort amid a rise in violent crime in Ward 6. Understanding Juvenile Carjacking, a panel discussion. You don't need a panel discussion on that. They're carjacking more because they keep getting away with it, because you're not arresting them and then you're not prosecuting them. And having a program to try to, quote, reach them before the crime is committed doesn't work. It doesn't. What are you going to do? Hold picnics for them? Youth basketball tournament? And after the basketball tournament, they'll carjack their way home. That's not going to work. Granted, there is a broken social infrastructure. The schools don't work. Parents don't parent. So media and social media and celebrities and the icons that these young people, these kids worship are bad influences, but no program that the Attorney General is going to come up with is going to fix any of that. In the meantime, you could at least arrest and prosecute these people so that they're not out in the street doing more damage. Oh, man. Nature Nerd says Biden created the 3 strikes you're out drug law for Americans, but doesn't arrest illegal immigrants under the influence. No, apparently not. Apparently not. And that's the only thing he's known for. And people hate that. People hate that law. And Picacario says, I'm surprised Nevada, my home state, since I live in Las Vegas, is on Texas's side and Arizona. No. And Monkey says the next primary for Republicans is February 8th or 9th in Nevada. I got to say, what is Nikki looking to gain here when the fact that majority of the GOP are endorsing Trump? I don't know why Mickey's even in it. I really don't. It's and he elaborates. Is it like, look at this brave woman politician going against the old white politician? That's essentially what it is. I really don't see where she has a chance. I don't think that she's a good fit at all. I don't think she's a good fit. The other two, Ramaswamy and the governor of Florida, were better choices, but they quit. She hung in there. There's really no point. I don't know what to tell you about that. I really don't. Dragon says, using this guy's reasoning, the best way to eliminate all crime is to legalize everything. There you go. Legalize, yeah, total anarchy. True anarchy is just without enforceable government. But the type of anarchy that you're looking for here is complete lawlessness, do as thou wilt. Helter says the DC Attorney General thinks he is being slick by informing criminals ahead of time what crimes they can get away with. Yeah, we're going to create more programs. How much is that going to cost? How much money is going to be wasted on committees to decide what kind of programs will be the most effective. And then when they don't work, you'll form another committee to try to figure out why. I mean, yeah, I know jail's not a deterrent to crime. It's not supposed to be. This is the big mistake. This is the big mistake that everybody makes when they talk about jail and when they talk about actually even the death penalty. Jail is not a deterrent to crime, and the death penalty is not a deterrent to serious crimes like murder and things like that. It's not a deterrent, but it's not designed to be. Jail is designed to remove a threat from having a social influence. The death penalty is designed to eliminate a social threat and prevent him from being a social burden because your tax dollars have to pay for his room and board. And that's biblical, by the way. That's biblical. You're supposed to dispose of serious criminals. Stoned outside the camp. Stoned outside the camp. Excuse me. Gary Edwards says thug parents know that their thug kids are exempt from prosecution, so they look the other way when Junior brings home thug profit for them, and jail is baby time out. Well, you know, that's the thing too, is if that's the type of environment that you grew up in and that's how your parents are, then you're going to emulate that behavior. You're going to carry on that generational curse and probably even make it worse and cause your children to be even worse than you are as time wears on. And then if that kid gets in serious trouble, gets really hurt, gets killed, then the tears come and the parents are like, oh, he was just trying to find his way in the world. He was just moving up. You know what I'm saying? He was just, he got good grades. He got good grades and he had a girlfriend, and knowing that their kid was a piece of shit. All right. Knowing that. And you see this in all walks of life. All walks of life. The kid gets in trouble and the parents are looking for sympathy or a check or something. In real life, hated that kid. Couldn't stand him. Wish they never had him. The parent and the child don't hardly even know each other. Generational curses, folks. That's what it is. I know I'm awful, but I mean that crap. I do. And speaking of playing the race card, I know we weren't talking about playing the race card, but we are now. And this is a Western Journal article, and that's Jada Pinkett Smith. No, it really isn't. That's not Jada Pinkett Smith, but I couldn't resist because she looks like it. This is squad member. I hate that whole terminology. I hate that there is a squad. I don't like anybody who's on it, and I don't trust any of them. Squad member Ayanna Pressley accuses Walgreens of racism for leaving crime-ridden communities. Oh, is that what it is? That's why Walgreens is leaving. That's why they're leaving. Okay. Apparently, Walgreens is supposed to be a non-for-profit charity. Oh, this is going to be a sarcastic article from the Western Journal, according to Douglas Golden there. Did you know this? I certainly didn't. But thank heavens for Massachusetts Democratic Representative Ayanna Pressley for setting me straight on the matter and pointing out that the chain closing stores in areas with rampant theft represents disruptive, life-threatening acts of racial and economic discrimination. And that's a quote against Black and brown communities. I see. So according to Pressley, Walgreens being forced to shutter doors in various locations because of looting, rioting, shoplifting, and vandalism is, quote, disruptive, life-threatening acts of racial and economic discrimination against Black and brown communities. Okay, I wasn't sure about that. Pressley, a member of the so-called squad, made the comments on the House floor after the pharmacy chain announced it was closing another store in her district, this time in the Roxbury area of Boston, We talked about Roxbury the other day, a community that is 85% Black and Latino. She made sure to note that is true because, again, I grew up in Boston and it's always been that way. Quote, this closure is part of a larger trend of abandoning low-income communities like the previous closures in Mattapan and Hyde Park, both in her district, Presley said. Again, growing up in the Boston area, Mattapan and Hyde Park are war zones. You don't want to be down there and be white. Okay? You don't. Trust me. Especially Hyde Park. Oh my God. Don't even take a train going in that direction. And by that token, you probably don't want to be Black and be in South Boston either. Just saying. Well, where are we here? When a Walgreens leaves a neighborhood, they disrupt the entire community. Really? When they close a place like that out here, I could really give a shit, but whatever. The congresswoman continued, and they take with them baby formula, diapers, asthma inhalers, life-saving medications, and jobs. Dum, dum, dum. These closures are not arbitrary, and they are not innocent. They are life-threatening acts of racial and economic discrimination. Why was there no community input, no adequate notice to customers, she said, and no transition resources to prevent gaps in health care? Shame on you, Walgreens. Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. I'm so tired of it. Oh my God. Oh, and I see I'm being overrun by comments. Let me catch a couple of them up real quick. Nature Nerd says a lot of the people on the southern border are from anarchy countries, and now America is turning that way. Yeah, they bring their trouble with them. Generational curses, I'll say it 1,000 times. Helter said she's mad at Walgreens for closing the store because of theft, yet she says nothing to the criminals who are robbing the Walgreens. Makes perfect sense. Yeah, exactly. And Monkey says, what I'm afraid of is the people in those cities will start leaking out to suburban or rural communities and ruin the calmness from crimes. That's possible. And Dragon says they have an idea. Why doesn't Miss Presley open her own chain of stores to the Walgreens that are leaving and see how long she stays in business? Because that's not her problem. All People says the media always neglects to note that Ayanna Presley, surprise, 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 is from a migrant family. Ayanna Presley, I wonder what her net worth is. Ayanna Presley, her bald head. Let me see. She's kind of mannish looking. She kind of looks like a dude in a certain profile here. And there is like no information. I'm looking, I'm not really finding anything about her net worth, because usually that kind of stuff can be pulled up, and I don't see anything. She's got it hidden. She's got it well hidden. That's good for her. So let me catch up a couple more. Semper Fi is here. He says he's been watching the dignified transfer of our 3 U.S. soldiers back to the U.S. So sad. Oh, yeah, indeed. And what's going to be done about it is the question, Semper Fi. What's going to be done about it? We should be at war with Iran already. But we can't afford it, though, because we gave all our money to Ukraine. Nature Nerd says stealing has cost the U.S. economy more than $100 billion in 2023. It's out of control. It makes no sense why we tolerate it. Individual states and cities could be harsher on robbery if they want to. And, there's neighborhoods out here where the Walgreens have armed guards. They got armed guards patrolling the aisles in the store. And it's like, why is that necessary? Well, look what's been going on. Look what's been going on. And it costs people more than they think, not just the theft. Because if your D100 or Department 100 theft and losses is too high, you get to a point, or especially if there's been looting or riots, you reach a point where you can't get insured anymore. And if you can't insure the property, you have to close. And I wonder if that's what happened with the Walgreens in some of those locations. I know many businesses have been forced to close in certain locations, Portland, Los Angeles, places like that, because the retail theft, looting, rioting, fires, vandalism was so extreme, the insurance companies are like, we're not covering you anymore. Forget it, because it's too much liability. And without that insurance, legally, you can't open up shop. They're forced to close. And I'd be surprised if to find out that, or it could be that Walgreens felt like they were getting to that point. The insurance premiums are either too high or they've already been cut off by the insurance. That's a likely possibility. And that does greatly affect not just those areas, but the entire infrastructure of the country, economically speaking. Gary Edwards says America's either elevated third world migrant expectations are being dragged down by third world cynicism and chutzpah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And all people said Presley wants to let 16-year-olds vote in every election. She's a socialist plant. And Monkey says, what about the crimes for robbery be hand for hand? Hammurabi laws, eye for an eye. Well, that's taking it literally, but biblically speaking, the whole idea of eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth is equivalent exchange variable to the crime that was committed. It doesn't mean necessarily you lose your eye or your tooth. That the Hammurabi law is taking that sort of thing completely literally, and it's still not necessarily a deterrent to crime even there. But from a biblical perspective, you have to make up for what you did. If these people just get arrested and released, get a slap on the wrist, get a fine, they don't give a shit. And that doesn't help the business. It doesn't help the business at all. If I get arrested for shoplifting, I've already been stealing from that business. They can't recover anything. But maybe if the state made me do community service for that store, I wouldn't want to go back there. I wouldn't want to go back there and do anything after I was forced to work there for free, under supervision, of course. But you know what I mean. Paying back what I took instead of just giving money to the state or doing something for the state. It's really kind of sickening. And somebody asked about Snowden the other day. I said, hey, maybe Eric Snowden could come back now that almost everything that he revealed has turned out to be true. Fat chance of that. Here's another article that's going to slide right under the radar. And this is an ABC's news article. Man convicted of largest leak in CIA history, sentenced to 40 years. And this is the whistleblower that was working with Snowden, the one that didn't escape the country. Joshua Schulet, who was convicted of orchestrating the largest leak of classified material in CIA history, was sentenced to 40 years in prison on Thursday. Schulet, 35, handed WikiLeaks a trove of CIA cyber espionage tools known as Vault 7 in what federal prosecutors called some of the most heinous, brazen violations of the Espionage Act in American history. He was convicted in July 2022 of illegally handing classified information and obstruction of justice after an earlier trial had ended in a hung jury. WikiLeaks began publishing the classified data from the stolen CIA files. The first of 26 disclosures were on March 7th, 2017. And I love how he's been tried for this already, and they didn't get the conviction they wanted, so they tried him again, even though you're not supposed to be able to do that. The trove of information revealed the CIA had hacked smartphones in spying operations and revealed the spy agency's efforts to turn internet-connected televisions into listening devices, according to the Associated Press. The CIA had said that Schult, is it Schult? I think it's Schult, I'm pronouncing it wrong, placed directly at risk CIA personnel, programs, and assets and jeopardized national security. The impact of the CIA was immediately catastrophic, federal prosecutors said, only because they were embarrassed because it was exposed that they were spying on American citizens without warrants and without probable cause. The effect of the WikiLeaks disclosure was a digital Pearl Harbor. We were dead in the water. There was no altruistic move behind Schultz's leak, prosecutors said, instead arguing it was an act of revenge against superiors who had reassigned him, revoked some of his IT privileges, and criticized him for increasingly obstreperous behavior. And Schultz was also convicted last September of possessing child pornography. That always manages to squeak in. You know, we're dealing with people who were illegally hacking phones, computers, and TV sets, using them as spying devices, stealing information from them, and planting information. And we're supposed to believe he had pornography in his computer? How do I know it wasn't planted there? You can't trust that. Monkey says, what about the crime? Oh, that's I already read that. Nature Nerd says shoplifting is a big reason items are up in price. Companies need to make a profit by upping the price for lost or stolen revenues, putting a burden on everyone else. Correct, because they still need to earn the same amount. You know, as much money as these companies make, and everybody always says, oh, well, the CEOs, they make so much money and blah, 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 and whatever. There's a limit. There's a limit to which the whole system collapses, regardless of how much they're making. And they'll have to back off and they'll have to bail. They'll have to bail. And that's how places go bankrupt. When people are talking about that before with, you know, the auto manufacturers and, oh, they make so much money, and the CEOs and, you know, whatever. And so what? Those people signed on to those jobs knowing what they were going to get paid. And look what happens when you push the limit on that. Remember, Hostess went bankrupt and had to sell everything. It happens. There's a limit to how much can be tolerated. So there you go. I mean, they threw this guy, they came up with everything they could to throw this guy in prison. He just got a 40-year sentence. That's a really terrible drawing of him. But he got a 40-year sentence for leaking the documents. I'm sure, I mean, they're saying he did it for revenge because they reassigned him. Maybe he just felt like they were overstepping their authority and wanted to expose it. But, you know, I'm not the judge. Sven says his TV speaks Spanish on commercials because I speak to friends sometimes in Spanish. Content of anything can be affected. That's true. And Monkey says, how did Snowden manage to escape to Russia? Did he flee as soon as he did it before the CIA can find out he leaked the stuff? I'm not sure how he managed to get to Russia. I don't remember. I thought he was in, excuse me, Sweden or Norway or somewhere for a time. And then when he realized that he was a target, made arrangements. And Russia said, yeah, come on down. Said, come on down. And we'll go ahead and bounce back to Boston here in a moment. Gary Edwards says the nail that sticks up gets the hammer. Yeah, basically. And Nature Nerd says the entitlement of these thieves is unbelievable. Makes you wonder if socialist policies and free government handouts make people more likely to steal, since it makes entitled people. Yeah, I think so too. If you earned something, if you were made to earn, and this stems into the idea of bad parenting and a bad social structure in public schools. You know, everybody gets a trophy. If you are forced to earn everything in life, you appreciate everything because you know what it takes to obtain what you need and want. You understand what it takes. If everybody gives you everything all the time, what the hell do you care? Someone else will give it to you, or someone else. And if they won't give it to you and you're used to getting it, you'll take it. Earning it never comes into question. You don't know what that means. Earn it? The hell I got to earn it for? I never had to do that before. I never had to do that before. Why should I earn it now? Why should I have to earn it now? Actually, I have an article instead of jumping to Boston, I got another article that kind of ties in with that. Let me read a couple more here. Gary says it's not theft, it's reparations. And I've heard that said about the shoplifting and looting. So yeah, reparations is stealing $400 sneakers because because government owes you for something that happened 200 years ago. Bingo says that doesn't excuse the record profits these monopolies are making. If that happens in small businesses, they call it price gouging. Check this out. And this is a Yale student crying in his soup. And I had this one reserved. I was thinking about picking it over, but since we're on the subject, I wanted to point this out. This is everything wrong right here. This is a Business Insider article. I couldn't participate in extracurriculars at Yale because of the school's competitive environment. It's not just a Yale problem. Okay. And he goes on about whining about dreaming of attending a prestigious college since the first grade. I've dreamt of attending a prestigious college since the first grade. That's a lie. Nobody in first grade's thinking about going to college, okay? I don't believe that. So in the fall of my senior year of high school, I packed and repackaged myself for 14 colleges and 150-word answers. What do I want to study? English. Probably what motivates me to learn, fear and anxiety, if we're being honest, but we're not. On and on and on. Let me get to the meat of the article here. So in March, he goes to college. I'm matriculated at Yale, excuse me. Bought room decor, learned the hard way that Yale dorms didn't have air conditioning. After the initial excitement of moving in and meeting my suite mates, I was hit with another round of applications, this time for classes and extracurricular activities, and I quickly learned that the competitive nature of the college application process bred even more competition among Ivy League students once I got to campus. All right. Like my fellow first-year students, I attended back-to-back information sessions for clubs, Yale Dramatic Association debate, Sarabrosa, Latin dance team, and more. Every information session was essentially the same. Here's what we do. You can do it too. Just apply. Then came the rejection emails. The debate team didn't want me, even though I'd captained my high school team for 3 years. The Latin dance team didn't want me, even though I'd taken dance classes for 12 years. My suite mates and I bonded over the high school extracurriculars we thought had gotten us into Yale, which we seemed to no longer be qualified to do. Some of my friends got into clubs only to find out they had to apply internally in order to participate. All right. It wasn't just extracurricular activities. Every semester I wrote essays, submitting writing samples, and emailed professors to get into classes I needed to graduate. It's common for seminars to receive over 100 applicants for 12 spots. I applied 3 times before being admitted to a popular essay writing class. And he's complaining that this is unfair. It's not equal. It's unfair. You see this at all these universities. Blah, blah, blah. Here's your problem, Jack. Yeah, it's competitive. You just stepped out of public school into the real freaking world. If you want to get anything accomplished, you're going to have to scratch and fight for it. And that's what he had to do at Yale, and he can't take it. He took dance class for 12 years, but are you any good at it? I can swim, okay? Actually, I used to go to the Y, taught my kid to swim. I used to take him to the Y every weekend. I swam for years. I'm not a competitive swimmer. A competitive swimmer would outpace me in a heartbeat. All right, just being realistic. Just because you do it all the time doesn't mean you're freaking good at it. He was the captain of his high school team, but he's not good enough for the Yale debate club. So you were the captain of your high school cakewalk team for 3 years. That doesn't mean you're good at debating. It doesn't. You have to write essays to get into a class. Write a better essay. You're lucky it only took you 3 times to get into the essay class with your essay writing. You should be grateful. That's how it works in the real world. Everything is competitive. Everybody doesn't get a trophy once you get out of public school, okay? This is what's wrong with the world. And he's privileged enough to be able to afford to go to Yale. And still complaining. Still complaining. There's your problem, guys. Let me catch up a couple of comments here. Monkey says chances are he's not within their DEI quota and needed to fill it up. Gary Edwards says got to join Skull and Bones to get ahead, except for dance class. Helter says higher education is now a pathetic parody of its former self. If the Ivy Leagues begin printed degrees, I couldn't be any more unimpressed with their tainted credentials than I already am. And Picacario says he's got to go. Okay, well, glad you were able to join us, but Carrick is here now. We lost one and gained one. Honestly, I'm surprised that there even still is that much competition at a university, because they've gotten rather pathetic over the years, or colleges more so than universities. But the universities are really being crippled by their social indoctrination. I think that's the worst part. I think that's the worst part of it. And we're seeing this at the universities now, and we're seeing the negative influence that foreign money has on the universities. Again, a lot of universities and colleges in the United States, and we read articles on this months ago, have been receiving money from the Middle East and from China, billions and billions of dollars worth. And it was under investigation during the Trump administration because he was trying to expose it because they were hiding it. The colleges and universities refused to disclose where some of the money was coming from, and he wanted it to be shown. You're getting money from Saudi Arabia. You're getting money from Iran. You're getting money from China. Why are you taking this money? And now look at what's going on with the protests in those universities. You think there's some outside influence? It was short of $6 billion when Trump was trying to investigate it. Biden administration threw the investigations out. Now it's closer to $9 billion. There's been billions more poured into it. Timothy says it means they need to work harder to be where they want. Yeah, that's not a problem. Life is competition, period. It's the natural flow of things. That's the way the world and life in general is designed. Brian says Jimmy Neutron and his friends got an 8th place award on the talent show, even though there was only 7 acts. There you go. There you go. You know what? It makes me think of, what is the name? Meet the Tannenbaums? Is that the movie or whatever? I'm trying to remember the name of it. The guy was supposed to meet the parents of the wife. There were 2 films. One of the guy, the other father worked for the CIA and didn't like the guy. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar to anyone? I think it was Meet the Tannenbaums. And he came to the parents' house of the man who was supposed to marry his daughter and looked in the trophy cabinet. And he was like, wow, I didn't know they had a ribbon for 15th place. That's what it makes me think of. I don't know if I'm giving it was a Ben Stiller film. I don't know if I'm giving the right title to that movie. I don't know if I'm giving the right title. But now we'll jump to Boston. This is the article I was gonna do just then, but I got sidetracked. And is this a video clip? Yeah, I'm going to play this clip for you. This is Brockton High School, and they're complaining about that it's so violent there. Everybody's afraid to even go to school anymore.
Debated tonight. Students and teachers say they're risking their safety every time they enter Brockton High School. Joining us now, Boston 25 News reporter John Monahan. And John, action is going to be taken on this.
That's right, Vanessa. The school committee is promising to take some action after students and teachers say they just don't feel safe. Case in point, this video we're about to show you that shows you that violence firsthand. Boston 25 obtained new video showing a fight inside Brockton High. Students and teachers say fights are a daily occurrence.
Lack of staff.
Oh, give me a break. An ad? Seriously, in the middle of that?
And so it has become very unsafe being at the school teaching and for the students as well.
Last May, Boston 25 covered another violent incident after a female student was stabbed. Nora Acevedo is a teacher. She witnessed another brawl firsthand.
I was the only one at the cafeteria at the moment. It's supposed to be 2 teachers, but the other person was absent. And so a fight broke off with girls wandering the hallways. They came in to attack another girl in the cafeteria.
The school committee held
Here's the thing. She says that there was a fight in the cafeteria and there's supposed to be 2 staff members, her and somebody else. Does she look like she's going to break up a fight? Are they allowed to? My experience in public school with public schools and with the school buses and everything, you can't even touch these kids. They're going to fight whether you're there or not. Monkey says YouTube didn't show his comment about trades and community colleges are good for investment. Yeah, trade colleges are a good place to go. And All People says, did you know that every single chat post disappears as soon as the live stream ends? If you watch the rebroadcast, you can see them. They are there because I've checked. And Monkey says it reminds them of Applebee's that played the Ukraine-Kiev live feed. And DKS wants them to stab Trayvon. I don't know about that. But they apparently fights like that go on at the school every day. The teachers don't feel safe. The students don't feel safe. If there was any disciplinary action for it, aside from a suspension, then maybe they wouldn't fight so much. A suspension is like getting a day off from school. I've been suspended from school. I didn't care. Send me home. I don't want to be here anyway. Give me a day off. Give me 2 days off. Give me the week off. I never got a week suspension. But I'm just saying. I'm just making the point. Those kids don't care about getting suspended. They need to be, if you're going to fight like that, there should be some kind of repercussions. There isn't. The staff are not equipped to stop a fight. That old lady's not going to break up a fight. Whoever the other person that was supposed to be there, 2 people monitoring a lunchroom. Does that sound efficient? We don't have enough staff. What do you want? More people to stand around? You're not going to do anything except yell at them to stop because you can't touch them. Maybe if there was a school security presence, maybe if staff was still allowed to physically intervene. Who went to school when they used to carry a paddle?
held a special meeting to hear concerns, and they got an earful. This student says most bathrooms are closed due to safety concerns.
Most days, there are only 1 or 2 bathrooms available for each sex to use at VHS. That's 3,900 students and only about 4 bathrooms open a day.
How old is that girl? Bathrooms a day. She can't even talk. And this woman right here is pathetic. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Teacher was in tears, saying she's so afraid to come to school, she often stays home.
I have this last month been one of those teachers that has called out probably twice a week because I can't do it.
The school committee.
Then you need to leave. If you can't be there, then you need to quit. Excuse me. And All People says, are both lunchroom monitors tiny little women? They probably are. They probably are. And like I said, even if they were able to intervene, physically they wouldn't be capable of it. But they're not able to. They're not able to, and they're not allowed to. They'll get in trouble. You touch a student, you're going to lose your job. They know that. What are they supposed to do? And then that woman blubbering and crying that she's scared to even come, and she calls in twice a week because she's afraid to go to school. Honey, you need to go do something else. But she's not going to because she doesn't want to give up her tenure. She's probably been a teacher for 20-something years and wants to retire with it. And then Monkey says, if the kids have parents that don't care, then suspensions are like a vacation day. But if you have parents that care about you, you wouldn't want to get suspended since you'll be disciplined by your parents. Yeah, but again, we talked about it many times, that generational curse. Those parents don't know those kids. Those kids don't know those parents. They don't know each other. They don't care about each other. They don't love each other. It's all an act. There's no bond. There's no bond. It's very sad. I've seen way too much of it. It's very sad. So them being home is a burden only because that parent doesn't want them around. Them going to school for the day is like a vacation in of itself. And with that, I'm going to have to go and start wrapping things up. All People says, is it a generational curse or a generational choice? The curse is the choice. The church is the curse is that they choose to continue that way and pass that on to the next generation. And Timothy says in Georgia they have officers at each school. Yeah, and that's why. But with that, I'll go ahead and start wrapping things up again. You are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and that's at Coffee Talk Live or at Prepper University on YouTube, as well as at Coffee Talk Chat on X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Friday at noon. So thanks again to everybody who was able to join us here today. Hope you all got something out of the conversation. And I'll go ahead and wrap things up. And we will catch you again on Monday.